Hello, I'm JT Cruel and you're watching Invest Comics TV.
Hi, and welcome back to Invest Comics TV. I'm Jay Katz, and how you doing, Paul? We're back.
Great.
Good. Before we went for break, basically, I wanted to get into the comic books. You got a few things coming out, and a few things that you got. How did you get into comic books, and how did that all come about for you?
I've been a fan of comics since I was, a little kid. I still have 6 long boxes filled with mostly Marvel. I'm a big Marvel fan. I just love comics, but I sort of fell out of them, a bit when I came out to California. And then a number of years back when I was producing the Saturn Awards, one of the things I was involved with, we give out these great gift bags that have, movie, DVDs, books, like all sorts of stuff, and including comic books. And one of the companies, this company called Blue Water, had donated a bunch of comic books that were based on Ray Harryhausen properties. And one of the titles they had was Wrath of the Titans, and it was a sequel to Clash of the Titans, which I was a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was rep by APA. They were my agents, and I had a number of screenplays that they felt would be really great, graphic novel or comic book properties. And they said I might want to start thinking about, looking at that avenue for them, sort of as a side note to the, to the film properties. So I started doing research, and the people of Blue Water seemed really cool. So I had talked to Darren Davis over there. I gave him a call and told him, hey, I've got some properties. And he said, well, we don't really do, creator-owned stuff to begin with. And I thought he was just being, polite. And he was just going, all right, well, thanks a lot. And I was just about to hang up the phone. He goes, but wait a minute. We do have a comic book series, a licensed property that we're looking for a writer on. He goes, what do you know about Black Scorpion? And I'm like, Black Scorpion? I'm like, that movie with the big black scorpion from the 50s? And he's like, no, the Roger Corman. He's like, no, the Roger Corman one from the late 90s, 2000s. And I'm like, oh, you mean like that female Batman? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I've heard of it. And he's like, well, do some research on it, see if you can come up with a take for it. You can do sort of like a Batman, redux on it if you want. So I'm like, great. So he read one of my screenplays, and we talked the next week, and he was like, all right, clearly you know how to write. What do you got for me? And I pitched him my idea for Black Scorpion, and he said, wow, that's exactly what we're looking for. They pitched it to Corman, and Corman loved it, and, there we go. I was writing Black Scorpion, and Black Scorpion was my first official comic book series. And then Darren had asked me, they needed a writer on a issue of Vincent Price Presents. And to me, I mean, this is like writing Twilight Zones, and I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. So I started writing, issues of Vincent Price Presents. I think I've written 7 or 8 of them at this point. And then I get a call from him one day, and he says, all right, you sitting down? And I'm like, yes. He's like, how would you like to write Logan's Run? And I was like,
yes.
Of course I'd like to write Logan's Run. He got the license. William F. Nolan, who wrote the original books with George Clayton Johnson, was going to be involved, and it was going to be up to me to sort of bring Logan into the new times, you know what I mean? And I never know what to call this, the 2000s, I guess. But I would be able to go back to the original trilogy of books and really, work with Nolan and bring a new take on Logan's. And this was going to be a series of 4 6-issue series. The first one being called Logan's Run Last Day, which just concluded a couple of months ago. And the second series called called Aftermath, which issue 3 is coming out in a couple of weeks. And then I'll be continuing the series with Logan's Run Rebirth and then Logan's Run War, so you get an idea of where this is going. And what's so exciting about this is, just really being able to, with Aftermath, I started taking it in a new direction, and it's really starting to become, more of my voice at this time, at this point, with the storyline that I want to tell, but obviously with Nolan's blessing and his involvement. So he still has to, approve everything I'm writing, but he's thrilled. And, Logan's Run.
One thing, one of my reviewers, Sebastian, wanted me to tell you that he absolutely loves your Logan's Run book. So Sebastian, I got it out there. Is that in a way? So well,
I really appreciate that. I just like, it's been really, what's been so great about it is it's been, I guess I can say critically acclaimed. Even Ray Bradbury gave us a quote, which is really amazing. It's like I can die happy now. Ray Bradbury, one of the greatest writers. I'm already working with William F. Nolan, one of the greatest science fiction writers of all time. But to have somebody like Ray Bradbury love it and give us a quote for it, it's on the trade paperback. Just mind-boggling. I consider myself a nobody from Natick, Massachusetts. Being a fan of science fiction my entire life, and now, not only am I getting to meet some of these people, I'm getting to work alongside, and get the respect of these people, and that's just a dream come true. I'm a fan. As you can see behind me, there's my Logan poster. You can see on the wall there, signed by William F. Nolan and George Clayton Johnson. But yeah, as you can. Yeah, I'll have to give you a tour as we wrap up. I'll have to pick it because we're doing this on iPad. I can pick up my iPad and show you all my cool stuff.
Yeah, it's because everybody wants to know who that guy is over your right shoulder there.
We'll get to him.
Yeah.
We'll get to him. Let's talk let's talk about comic books, and then you just tell me when you want to do a tour.
Okay, cool.
But with comic books, so, what's been great about doing, I think I've written about 28 single-issue comic books, but what this has done is open the door for me to get a lot of my original material done now. And I've got 5 graphic novels coming out over the course of the next 2 years, which is really exciting.
Are those independent novels, or are they under the Blue Water banner, or how's that going to work out?
Well, the first one, which comes out next month, and actually is available on Amazon as of today, which I'm very excited about, so this is very fortuitous, is called Discord. And Discord is my first original graphic novel. I'm doing it with AAM Marcosia out of the UK.
Yes, we've interviewed them on Best Comics, actually.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Yeah, they're a great company.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Marcos, who runs it, is really fantastic. I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it's been working with them. And and to finally, Discord is at the printers right now, and like I said, it's available to order on Amazon. And it's just a really it's a thing I'm very proud of.
And what is that Discord about? Can you give us a little insight what we're going to be getting into there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what's nice is sort of a unique take on the superhero genre. The idea being kind of simple. You have a superhero team, sort of not unlike the X-Men or the Avengers. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Yeah. And we're introduced to them in mid-fight, so we learn about the different members, the 5 members of Team Warhammer, as they're called. Okay. And 4 of them are fighting on a space station. One of them had been left behind. Moray had been left behind because she got hurt in the last mission. And they're fighting their enemy Sinew on a space station, and they defeat him, and, yay, Team Warhammer. They get on their ship to head back to their base on Earth, and it turns out that they haven't defeated Sinew, and he's gotten aboard their ship and just completely messed it up. And they have a jump drive, sort of like, in Battlestar Galactica, and the ship just, without coordinates, just jumps to some random place in the universe, right in the upper atmosphere of a planet, and the ship winds up crash landing on a planet, and they're all killed. they're dead. There's like bits and pieces of them scattered around the landscape, and the indigenous life forms on the planet sort of come out of the woodwork, and they see all these parts lying around, the remains of the ship and all these body parts, and they're curious, about what this stuff is, and they're able to access the ship's computer and find out what a human is. So they start collecting all the usable bits and pieces lying around and reassemble what they think is a person and resurrect them. And what they don't realize is they've created this person out of, he wakes up and he realizes he's made out of not only of his team members and colleagues, but he's made out of the enemy he was fighting, out of sinew.
Oh, wow.
And it's really thematically about loss of identity, and it's about how you define yourself as a hero. And, they're able to repair his ship, and he is given the opportunity to go back home, but he doesn't even know if he wants to go back home at this point because, he's not... the main guy is Chromatic, that's his name, and he's a chameleon, is his superpowers, but now only this part of him works.
Wow.
So what good is a chameleon where not only part of your body can change?
Sure.
And also, he's grieving over the loss of his friends. I mean, these colleagues were his friends. These are people who he cared about and people he loved. And Moray, who's the one left, back on Earth, that's his girlfriend, and they've been missing for weeks, and he's going to show up and he's going to look like this Frankensteinian creation, and she's going to discover that all her friends are dead. And, her friends, all their colleagues have loved ones too who love them. And
Sure.
Team Warhammer was a big, superhero team on Earth, and how are people going to react to this? So it's a very sort of adult story with very adult themes told in the guise of, the tropes of superhero stories that we're used to. So, but, very excited about it. The early response has been through the roof.
Actually, I know that there's a short video, I think, on YouTube.
Yes.
I think I've seen that. And what we'll do on this show, after our interview, I'll put that video at the end so everybody can see it and check that out, okay? Because the video was very cool too.
Cool, yeah, it's a 1 minute, learning from video games, marketing video games. There's a 1 minute long motion comic sort of teaser trailer for it.
Yeah.
So,
you really get to see the main character too, with different parts. It's very interesting. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the early reaction's been great. I got really nice endorsements from Rick Remender and Jim Kruger and Eric Wallace, who writes Titans, and Mark Wade, who's a Eisner Award winner, wrote the introduction for me and gave us a nice quote.
There you go.
So
if you could get Mark to do that, you're okay.
Yeah. So a lot of support. It's been really great. I really hope people embrace it and give it a chance because, Marcosia is not a Marvel. They're not a DC. They're not a Dark Horse. So it really takes people hunting it down and taking a chance with it. But it's something I'm very proud of, and I think people will not be disappointed by it. It's it's really unique and different.
Yeah, it definitely does sound like a really cool book, and we could get that on Amazon starting today.
Starting today, it is
July 14th,
it's available.
Right?
Yep, it's available on Amazon US and Amazon in the UK. So please support it.
Oh,
please
absolutely, yes. We'll definitely, we definitely will. Also, you have another graphic novel by the name of Status, what's the name of that? Stasis.
Yes. That's really, that'll probably be the follow-up, to, Discord.
Okay.
I actually, in issue 1 is, at the printers. I'm going to get them on Monday. So we're sort of testing the waters with issue 1. That's kind of a cool concept. That's sort of like Aliens meets The Thing. That's sort of like the best way to describe it, but it's very relevant, deals with nanotechnology and a creature the likes that you have never seen before.
Very nice.
You've never seen before. But this is this is a real like rough and tumble kind of military kind of action story that once again deals with some really interesting themes, and very excited about that. So that'll probably be the follow up. It'll be either that, or I have one called In a World, which is more like a family comedy, crazy summer blockbuster movie type one. We'll see which one gets finished first.
Very cool.
Actually, the next thing out is my novel. So.
Yes, I wanted to touch on the novel. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. So I'm really excited that my first novel is going to be coming out, I believe, in about a month. It's called The Silent Planet.
Yes.
And this is one of my favorite things I've ever written. I've written a number of screenplays, and this was a screenplay I wrote a while back, and then during the writer's strike, I decided to see if I could, write a novel. I wanted to see if I could write a novel. So I chose Silent Planet to write as my first novel, and just really, really happy with how it came out. It's sort of, best way to describe it would be Jurassic Park meets Solaris. That would probably be the best way, maybe a little Avatar thrown in. It's really epic science fiction, very thematically driven. It's really about, there are things in the universe that are beyond human comprehension, and how human hubris can be our downfall, and also how we tend to anthropomorphize things that we don't understand. So the conceit of the story is you've got a planet that all the life forms and the vegetation on the planet are just really beyond us understanding, and there's been a research team on the planet for 5 years sort of researching all, trying to catalog everything, and they're just not getting anywhere. They're just not being able to figure anything out, or how safe is this planet actually to live on.
Right.
And the main characters are the crew of the Magellan, which is a supply ship that just drops off supplies, every month, every couple of months, and nothing's gone wrong for 5 years, and all of a sudden they show up at the planet, and the research team is missing, and they're basically told by the corporation that they've got to step onto the planet and find out what's going on. But they're not search and rescue. They've never stepped off their ship. When they drop off supplies, they just hand it off without stepping off their ship, and now they're basically forced to venture into this unknown sort of environments, and they're a very dysfunctional group of people just to begin with. So it's how they bring their sort of fears into this potentially non-hostile environment and sort of turn it hostile because of this. So that it's called The Silent Planet, and it should be up on Amazon. I would think it would be up on Amazon probably within the next month or so forth.
Wow, very cool. So you have that as really as opted for a movie, correct?
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest in the film recently, which has been really, it's been almost coincidental, because we've been planning on having the book come out, and all of a sudden there's been a lot of interest in the film version of it. There's a couple of different companies who we're talking to, and this is a huge movie. I mean, this is, minimum budget, I'm sure like 120 million minimum.
Wow.
So, it's pretty exciting that there's this much interest, and I think with the book coming out, it's sort of nice.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's sort of nice, and I think it hasn't hurt.
Go ahead.
It doesn't hurt that I actually got recently hired to write. Speaking of, we were talking about Ray Harryhausen earlier. I've been hired to write the fourth Sinbad movie, in Ray Harryhausen's Sinbad movie.
Wow.
Which we can obviously talk about if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like? I remember Sinbad back when I was growing up, watching those old movies on. I think they used to show once in a while on Thanksgiving or things like that. But I used to love those Sinbad with the Cyclops and the saber-tooth tiger. I used to love that stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was recently hired. It was really actually really exciting. I mean, this is a really big movie. They got a really big producer attached. It's Morningside Entertainment. It is the company. For those who know or don't know, Charles Schneer produced all of the Ray Harryhausen movies. A lot of people don't realize that Ray Harryhausen, he's a special effects, stop motion animation and a special effects artist. He didn't direct the movies, nor did he produce them. He was but people consider them Ray Harryhausen films because, he's such an integral part of these movies. Right. And, especially the Sinbad movies. And, as I said, I'm a big Clash of Titan fan. I was a big Sinbad fan growing up. And the opportunity came up Barry Schneer, Charles Schneer has passed away, and Barry Schneer took over Morningside Entertainment, and I met with them about writing the Sinbad movie, and he was so impressed with what I was doing with Logan's Run and some of my screenplays that I got hired to write. It'll be a continuation, a new trilogy. This is not a reboot. This is a continuation of the Sinbad films. It was sort of the Sinbad movie that they never got to make, the Sinbad on Mars. So it's called Sinbad Rogue of Mars. And it's a brand new trilogy, and I've already turned in the first draft, and they seem very pleased with it. We're working on the second draft right now, and it's going to be exciting. I mean, it really is, people who are fans of this movie, it is really respectful to Charles Schneer, the legacy that Charles Schneer and Ray Harryhausen, laid out with all those original films. People are not going to be disappointed with it.
Wow, that's really exciting. I mean, seriously, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's exciting stuff. Like I said, I grew up, I love Sinbad, I love all that stuff. So that's really exciting stuff. I can't wait for that. Yeah. I mean, did you ever think, Paul, that you'd basically be this involved with comic books? Did you ever foresee that? How do you feel about that?
You always hope when you're a little kid. Look, I'm a fan. I have no joke, I have over 1,300 DVDs in my collection in all genres, not just sci-fi and horror and fantasy. I love movies. As you can see behind, I'm sitting in my office. You can see all this stuff. We'll do a little tour. Yes. I'm a real fan. I mean, I own the TARDIS console from the '96 Paul McGann Doctor Who movie, and I have a Dalek in my garage. I love movies, and I watch as much movies and that I can. And so to think that I would have the opportunity to produce and write and do comics and books, I mean, it's crazy. And I'm a very humble person. I've stayed the same person I am. I still get a thrill, when I meet, people who have met celebrities who have meant something to me growing up. And so I feel very lucky that I'm being able, that I've been in this business for over 20 years. I mean, almost 22 years at this point, that I'm still going strong and being able to live this on a day-to-day basis. I consider myself very lucky and very happy about it.
That's really awesome.
It's not lost on me. It's not lost on me at all.
Well, that's good. That's important. But just to kind of wrap things up a little bit before we get the little tour, is there anything you can basically tell the up-and-coming screenwriters or somebody that wants to write, that you can give some advice to them that they can take home with them and follow, your guidelines or anything you may want to tell them? Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. The advice that I can give is very simple. It's don't ever give up, and you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your talents, because if you don't believe in it, no one else is going to believe in it. And you got to have a thick skin, and you got to have persistence. I'm telling you, this hasn't been like a cakewalk to get to this point. I mean, it's been years of, highs and lows, sometimes even on a daily basis, where I'll get good news in the morning, and by lunchtime I'll get like the most horrible news, or, people pass on your scripts all the time. You just can't take it personally. What's so great is I've been on both sides of the trenches. I've worked on sets, and I've been an executive and still am an executive, and I know why movies don't get made. It's not just about the quality of your material. It's not about how talented you are. It's more about the stars aligning and a little bit of luck and being in the right place at the right time sometimes. And don't give up. Don't ever have the option that, well, I'm just going to pack it in. Just always keep on trying and just keep going until you succeed.
Awesome.
And you'll get there. You'll get there.
That's
and the journey part is half the battle. Yeah. So, you want to see some of my geek stuff?
Absolutely. Let's check some of that stuff out.
All right, I'll give you a little... Yeah, let me pick up my my iPad here. Hopefully, I won't turn it off and stuff like that. Let's see what I can show you here.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's see what we got. Can we actually see this? I'm gonna stand over here so I can. So we got a bunch of my Doctor Who stuff here. Hold on, let me get that. I know how to shoot stuff, so that's good. So you can see a lot of my Doctor Who. I've actually built some of that stuff, and here's a bunch of my books. We got, Lemony Snicket and Lord of the Rings and Myth Adventures. I'm a big Myth Adventures fan. Got a lot of my more Doctor Who stuff. Got some James Bond stuff going on here. Let's see. Okay, moving this way, we've got, let's see, here's some more Doctor Who. Stanislaw Lem, he's like my favorite author, him and Kurt Vonnegut. So I got the Vonnegut section, I think, down here. Oh, I'm getting my arm in the way. And let's see, moving over. Oops. As I mentioned, there's my troop of Cybermen that
nice.
by my TV in my office. And that leads us over to my monster here. This is for a series this is for a series I developed here. I'll sort of walk this way with it so you can see get the whole sense of him. He's called a Goladoth Shock Trooper, so you can see his gun and his face over here. And hold on, I'll take you over here too. This is even more stuff. So look at that. See, you thought I was done.
Nice.
Not even close. So there's some more Doctor Who stuff. Got some Daleks up there. I guess let's move this way. Oh, I'm getting the shot. Here's like my horror section, because you got to have the horror stuff. Got Jason and Freddy Krueger. So there you go.
Very
there
nice.
You go. There's my proof that I'm actually born and bred a geek.
Very nice. So does your little guy behind you come to life at night, or is he just kind of just there all the time?
No, he's just there all the time. I'm glad that my kids aren't scared of him, which is great. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I think they've gotten pretty used to him.
He's pretty awesome, I must say. I like him.
He protects me.
Very cool. All right, Paul. Thank you so much for coming on. Had a great time. We'll look for your graphic novels on Amazon.com, and we'll look for your novel as well. And all the Sinbad movie, your novel, the Last Planet.
Silent Planet. The Silent Planet.
The Silent Planet. I apologize. We'll look for that.
No worries.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming on, Paul. It was great.
Great. Thanks for having me.